All right, let's get this over with. Hello, my name is Aaron McGuire, and today I'm going to be talking about the new Bill and Ted movie, Bill and Ted Face the Music. This is the third film in the Bill and Ted trilogy. Trilogy. This is the third film in the Bill and Ted trilogy, starting off with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in 1989, and then followed by Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey in 1991. Both of these are movies I'm very nostalgic for, particularly the first one, which I watched over and over as a kid, and I definitely enjoyed Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey as well because it had a lot of creativity. It was very different from the first one. It wasn't just a rehash of the original, but I do feel like there was maybe too much crammed into it and it was a bit messy, at least in my opinion. I even watched the animated show called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, which was released in the early 90s. I still remember the theme song and certain lines of dialogue very vividly from that show. And when Orion Pictures announced that they were going to be releasing a third film in the trilogy, I was very skeptical to say the least. Right from it being announced, I kind of thought it could just be a very quick and cheap cash grab, mainly because of the resurgence of the popularity of Keanu Reeves and also of 80s culture. But it became clear very early on that it is not a cash grab at all. This third film continues with Bill and Ted trying to fulfill the prophecy about them that they will create music that will unite the world. The film also has a subplot with Bill and Ted's daughters, Billy and Thea, as they go back in time to gather up the world's greatest musicians in history to form a band. And I definitely do have a lot of issues with this movie. First one being the acting. Some of it felt a bit awkward. There were a lot of scenes where it felt like the actors didn't really know what they were supposed to do. And this also goes down to Keanu Reeves as well. Disclaimer, I love Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves is an amazing person, and if you know anything about him, you know that he's one of the kindest celebrities to ever exist. But that don't mean he can act. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Especially right next to Alex Winter, who is a much better, much more versatile, much more natural actor. But again, Keanu Reeves does make up for this by being Keanu Reeves, and also because he is trying his very best with the role, so it is fun to see him portraying this character again after so long. It also isn't shot particularly well, there's not a lot of personality. It does very much feel like it was filmed for efficiency, so they could film it very quickly instead of the most creative way that they could have filmed a scene. The story also makes no sense in Bill and Ted fashion, where they just kind of make up their own rules of time travel and creating these massive plot holes. And in general, it does feel like a very underwhelming sequel, especially compared to the other two, which have a lot of creativity and a lot of energy. Not to say that this movie is devoid of any creativity. There are some really great scenes of Bill and Ted meeting their future selves and kind of the monsters that they become. It's really funny. And some of my favorite lines of dialogue come out of their interactions. However, this movie does look very cheap. It was filmed for $25 million, which is a very low budget by today's standards. I also struggle to think that this movie will play well to people who already aren't fans of the Bill and Ted movies. As someone who grew up watching these movies, it is very clear that this was made for the fans 100% through and through. And as a big fan, I am willing to forgive a lot of the massive problems in this movie, as I'm sure many fans will. It's easy to overlook some of the bad acting because it is fun to just see these characters reprising their roles again. They still do a great job of embodying these California surfer dudes who just never grew up. And again, a lot of these technical issues are very much excusable because of the low budget that the movie had. There are definitely some very funny scenes and lines of dialogue that made me laugh out loud. A lot of the comedy just comes from how blunt and how naive the Bill and Ted characters are. As for the plot holes, none of these movies make any sense. I mean, it's not pretending like it does anyway. It's not taking itself very seriously, and because of that, it is very easy to overlook a lot of the flaws. And again, this is just me looking at this movie from the point of view of someone with rose-colored nostalgia glasses. And if I didn't grow up watching the first two movies and I just saw this as a standalone film, I would probably dislike it actually. But I think the main thing that makes up for a lot of the major flaws that I have in this movie are simply how endearing and how hopeful these two main characters are, and the overall message about wanting to unite the world, especially in this divisive world that we're in right now. It's very sweet. And this movie was clearly made not to make money, but instead just to deliver that message and to make something for the fans. And because of that, I do have a lot of respect for this movie, and I do think it is a lot of fun. Even with its flaws, I wasn't really bothered by them too much, and instead I just kind of sat down and had a good time. Is it a great movie, though? No, but I enjoyed it, and I think fans will get a kick out of it. 5 out of 10? 5 out of 10. Well, anyway, thank you very much for watching this review. Thank you for listening. Thank you for existing. You are all important. You are all loved, and I love you. Mwah. If you did get to see this movie, let me know what you thought of it. If you aren't a Bill and Ted fan and you did see it, I'm wondering what you thought of it as well. I'm definitely going to try to make more videos very, very soon because there are a lot of 2020 movies that are coming out that I really want to talk about. Keep wearing your masks, please. Be excellent to each other, and rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. Thank you.